Have you ever come across a single sentence that feels like it holds the weight of an entire book? Well, today, we're diving deep into one of those. It's a proverb that sets up this fascinating tension between our spiritual duties and our ethical ones. You know, what we owe to a higher power versus what we owe to each other. So let's get right into it.
All right, so this is it. Proverbs 21 verse 3. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Just let that sink in for a second. It takes two huge pillars of faith, our rituals and our actions, and it puts them on a scale. And it doesn't just weigh them, it declares a clear winner. That's a really bold statement, right?
So the big question becomes, is this just some dusty old rule, or does it have something powerful to say to us right here, right now? In our own complicated lives, what does this ranking, this hierarchy, actually mean for how we're supposed to live? That's exactly what we're going to unpack.
First up, let's just acknowledge what this is. A challenging proverb. To really get what's going on here, we've got to break it down piece by piece.
Okay, section 2, the role of sacrifice. Let's start on one side of the scale. When the proverb talks about sacrifice, what are we actually talking about?
For the people who first heard this, the word sacrifice would have brought up a very specific, very physical image, an offering made at the temple. It was this tangible, real-world act of worship, or maybe a way to ask for forgiveness.
So the main thing to get here is that sacrifice is an outward act. It's something you can see, a ritual you perform, an offering you physically make. You can almost think of it as a vertical action. It's directed upward, from you towards the divine, usually as part of some formal ceremony.
And now for section 3, the call for justice. Okay, let's look at the other side of this equation. The proverb puts sacrifice up against a totally different kind of action, one that's not about ritual at all, but about how we live our lives every single day.
Now, justice and judgment. In the original Hebrew, these two words are really woven together. They're like two sides of the same coin. And this isn't just about law courts and judges. It's pointing to something way bigger, something like a life lived with righteousness and total ethical integrity.
So think about this. If sacrifice is that outward ritual, justice is the inward ethical compass that then leads to right action. It's all about your moral integrity, about fairness, about how you actually treat other people. So where sacrifice was that vertical action, going up, this is a horizontal action. It's directed outward, toward the people all around you.
Which brings us to section 4, a hierarchy of values. So we've got our two big ideas, ritual and action. But here's the kicker. The proverb doesn't just list them side by side. It actually ranks them. It tells us flat out which one matters more.
And this really forces us to ask a pretty fundamental question, doesn't it? At the end of the day, what carries more weight? Is it our ceremonies or our character? The stuff we do on the outside or the righteousness that comes from within?
And here it is, laid out as clearly as possible. On one side, you've got righteous action, justice, which comes from your inner ethical state and is focused on other people. And on the other side, you've got religious ritual, sacrifice, which is an outward observance focused on an offering. The proverb's argument is crystal clear. That first one, that's the priority.
And that phrase, more acceptable, that's the whole ballgame. Notice it doesn't say sacrifice is bad. It doesn't say it's worthless. This isn't an either-or situation. It's all about priority. The message is that acting with justice and righteousness toward other people is simply of a higher value than just the ritual by itself.
And that leads us to our final section, action over observance. This is really the core principle, the big idea we're supposed to take away from this whole proverb. It's a huge statement that puts our ethical actions above our religious duties.
So the path it lays out is pretty clear, right? You might start with the outward ritual, the sacrifice. But that's supposed to lead you toward an inward ethic, toward justice. And that is the state the proverb calls more acceptable. It's a powerful challenge to make sure our actions are a true reflection of our beliefs.
So let's land right back here one last time. It's just one sentence, but wow, it's a powerful moral compass, isn't it? It's a reminder that our faith isn't just something for a specific building or a certain day of the week. It's about the justice and integrity we practice in every single part of our lives.
And that leaves us with a question to carry out of here. In our world today, which do we tend to value more? The things we say we believe, our outward displays of faith, or the quiet, consistent, day-to-day acts of justice and fairness? It's an ancient question, but it feels more relevant now than ever.